When the season started, most people predicted the Thunder would win around 50 games and be better with an updated roster. But there were few who would have even considered the possibility that Paul George could be in the MVP discussion until now. With the former MVP and Russell Westbrook already on the team, it was safe to assume he'd get all the consideration for the award. But in a season full of surprises, there's no bigger one than the arrival of Paul George. His numbers have made a sizable jump across the board, and his plus 9.2 net rating is second only to Steven Adams. Another thing to consider is he's just about the only MVP candidate that doesn't lead his team in usage percentage. With Russ on his team, it's even more impressive that he can get enough opportunities to post these kind of numbers. His most common attack in the half court is running the pick and roll out top. Nothing fancy, no orchestrated movement beforehand, just a big coming up the screen and PG going to work. You won't see hardly any three-pointers either. He's the king of the mid-range, using his explosiveness to find openings in between to pull up for his jumper. He also has a floater game that's nice, so containing him is extremely difficult because he's so good at taking what the defense gives him and converting these looks. His incredible athletic ability allows him to hang in the air, rise over defenders, and break up the cadence of his steps to keep them off balance and on the edge of what is legal in terms of number of steps to the hoop. George also gets his share of isolations out top, and this is where the offense stagnates and makes shots as difficult as they come. He's found a niche in the mid-range, much like his childhood idol Kobe Bryant, where he can execute good footwork and find the balanced shot from 18 feet. But he does struggle to get past his defender, instead forced to take ridiculously hard jumpers when he tries his hardest to get all the way to the rim. There are lots of possessions where he spends a ton of energy and dribbling moves trying to get by his man with little success. And because of that stagnant isolation, the help defense is in good position, so his finishing at the rim is problematic to say the least. It's an area where the refs might let a little more contact go than usual, and PG certainly hasn't attained the level of respect from the refs usually afforded to superstars who might get more of these types of calls. As a result, this is the one area of offense that's well behind all other facets of his game and would probably be the thing that keeps the most MVP votes away from him. PG is taking a career-high 8.8 three-point attempts per game, and here is where most of them come from, spotting up on passes, typically from Russell Westbrook. They like to run a lot of pick and roll with Russ and then have George slide up into the open area on the weak side for the pass and catch and shoot. While I'd love to see him and Russ interact more on offense, they have certainly figured out how to leverage Westbrook's gravity in these actions to open up shots for George from behind the arc, and he's above average in conversion rate. George has always been a guy who utilizes the off-ball screen well, primarily on the right side of the floor, going to his left so his body is already aligned properly for the right-handed shot. These are all clips from last year, and it's exactly how they use him a lot with the Pacers as well. But there's been a fundamental shift in how he's using screens to get shots. Almost all of them are now from baseline out-of-bounds plays, and he is just as likely to go to his left as he is to his right. Unclear what prompted Billy Donovan to change it up, but we haven't seen much of a change in his efficiency on these shots. In fact, with such a big jump in scoring from last year and a big increase in two-point field goal percentage, I'd say it was worth it. Defensively, he's a real force, able to keep ball handlers in front of him with a supreme quickness and length. At 6'9", he can cover so much ground in a hurry. And best of all, he gives out a lot of energy on this end, especially with weak side help on the roll man, then closing out to the perimeter on the skip pass. Trust me, knowing Paul George is running at you is going to cause a lot of misses by his reputation alone. So, while you might not have been surprised by the Thunder's success midway through the season, and Giannis is still considered the MVP this season due to the record of his surprising Bucks, it's time to take a real look at a guy who's the best player on the third best team in the West, a team only one game out of first, and who no one wants to play in the playoffs, primarily because of the supreme two-way ability of Paul George. Sports fans, make sure to hit the subscribe button and adjust your settings so you can get notified immediately when we drop another great NBA video. Let us know how you feel with a thumbs up and a comment. After all, at BBallBreakdown, we're not a channel, we're a conversation. You in?